And hello, and this is being recorded on International Islamic Shame Day, when we remember what was called 9/11, when Islam struck at Christian things and got themselves rights in America, and a supine, Islamo-supine president, immigrant president. How wonderful. Terrorism pays great dividends. If you are prepared to do the most unspeakable deeds, they'll give you rights. And there'll be a State Department dinner held in honour of your religion's festivals. And they will honour you. And they will respect you. And if some little evangelical pastor down in Florida wishes to burn whatever book you care to call holy, be it Wuthering Heights or Charles Dickens or the ramblings of the psychotic warlord Muhammad, the satanic Quran, then the whole power of the United States government will come against you to silence you and stop this evangelical pastor, from doing such a thing as burning your holy book. Wouldn't happen. It has happened. All the powers of the American government have been brought to bear. Probably the FBI have gone along to lean on this poor man, Terry Jones. But I hear that the Americans, in trying to smash the Christians and stop them offending the satanic immigrants, the satanic Quranics, and to stop this Christian from burning this unholy garbage which is not fit for toilet paper, which is the ramblings of a demon-possessed Arab savage and warlord, and do your research. All the powers of the United States government have been brought to bear to silence Terry Jones. But if you'd like to have a little look at the link I put in the information box of this video, which is normally down here, it could be over there depending on which you are viewing this video in. If you'd like to have a look at the link that's in there, and you'll see what Islam actually does and Islam actually is. You'll see a photograph of two beheaded 12-year-old girls killed by Islamics because they're Christians. So we have to test, and there are lots of Islam followers of the satanic warlord religion. They would say, "Oh, well, that's not Islam." Now, hang on a minute. Let's just check. What does the Quran say? The Quran says that if you are a Christian or a Jew, particularly, but anybody who's not a Muslim, that Muslims are to fight against them with every stratagem of war until they submit to Islam or they're destroyed. That is what the Quran actually says. What did the warlord who invented the religion of Islam do? Now, what did he do? Because his actions define what Islam is. If you wish to see what Christians should be like, read the Gospels and see the Lord Jesus Christ in action. That's how a Christian should be. Okay? He is the benchmark, and when you're born again and filled with the Spirit of God, you become just like him and increasingly so as the work of salvation goes on in your life. In the same way, if you wish to see what Islam is about, then you must go and get a good biography of the warlord Muhammad, or 2 or 3, there's a number of them about. Get 2 or 3 of them. Read up what the Quran actually teaches, and then test that by what did the warlord do. Okay, now we get benchmark Islam as demonstrated by the warlord. What did he do? Well, the warlord Muhammad subjugated huge areas by force of arms with his armies of bloodthirsty killers. One town Jewish town him and his men came to. There were huge numbers of Islamic hordes, and the Jews couldn't possibly fight them. There weren't enough of them. They were hopelessly outnumbered. So the Jews surrendered. Muhammad and his men went into the town. They dug a ditch, or had a ditch dug right through the marketplace. They had and then Muhammad had his men bring the Jews out in batches, and he personally beheaded that day about 100 people. And altogether, including what his men did, between 700 and 1,000 Jews were beheaded on that day for one reason alone: they wouldn't submit to Islam, and they were Jewish. So when you see that photograph in that link I post down there, that is Islam, because that is what the satanic Quran says. That is what the warlord who invented the religion and was prophet of the religion, therefore, did. That is actual Islam. When those aircraft were used to attack Christianity, because you must remember that in stinking Quranic thinking, America is a Christian country. Now, you and I know that there's only a few thousand Christians in America, and there's only a few hundred in the UK. And I mean actual disciples of Jesus Christ. The vast majority are broad roader or nominal Christians, type 2 or type 3. But to a stinking Quranic thinking, America is a Christian country. And what they were doing when they attacked the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and they would have attacked somewhere else as well. I think they were going to have a crack at the White House, were they? I can't remember. Whatever. They were attacking Christianity. Now, when these people, these warlords people, the satanic Quranics, did that, were they walking in accord with what the warlord Muhammad did? And were their actions in agreement with what the warlord said in the satanic Quran? Well, yes, of course. Now, do your research. I am sorry to see utterly, totally Islamo-supine journalists, politicians, media people and all sorts treating ignorant pagan savages as though they're equal to and or better than Christian folks. Of course, the satanic Quranics tend to point a finger and say, oh, look at the Crusades and the terrible things Christians did. They weren't Christians, you idiot. They were Catholics. We don't call them the Christian killing Catholics for nothing, you know. So on this Islamic Shame Day, I hope that there will be wholesale, and I'm told there is going to be, wholesale Quran burning across the United States. Just to tell Satan's people of the demonic religion set up by the demon-possessed warlord, and the poor man was demon-possessed. Check it out. Get the biographies. Do your research. Do not accept Islamaganda. He used to suffer epileptic fits, which is one of the signs of demon possession. That is, he would have a fit, he'd fall on the floor, he'd thrash his arms and legs, his mouth would go, they bite their tongues, they flail all over the place, and they foam at the mouth and all sorts of stuff. Muhammad used to do that. Muhammad had a vile, evil temper. That is another sign of demon possession. He also had a totally out of order sexual appetite. He was a grossly depraved sex pervert. He told his disciples they could have 4 wives if they could afford them. But he himself had 16 wives, 4 concubines, and 2 disciples who gave themselves to him for their use, for his use, I beg your pardon. And indeed, one of those wives he took to be his wife when she was 5 years old, and he took her to his bed when she was about 9. Even the Quran and records show that the girl was still playing with dollies when Muhammad took her. to be his wife. That is Islam, because that's what the inventor and the prophet of Islam did. Now, Islam isn't just off. It's not just like a bunch of pagan Muslim Hindus or something like that who've got all the wrong gods. They've got all the, they don't know what they're talking about. They're sex perverts and evil creatures, appalling, abominable idolaters. They're not just like that. The religion of Islam only wishes to overcome the Christians and the Jews. It is a stated aim of Islam to drive the Jews out of the land of Israel into the sea. Islam is unspeakable evil. Islam is of the spirit of Satan, and if you're ever in the presence of Muslims, you can feel the devil in them. They're not just the devil's children, not interested in religion like you'd have around you in America or Britain. These people have Satan, which is why they get their violent, evil temper from, where they get it from, their temper from. Which is why Islam is basically, an Islamic paradise is a sex pervert's paradise. Everyone who dies in the cause of Islam gets, as a martyr for Islam and a soldier for Islam, gets 70 virgins. The only use that Islam has for women is, of course, is for sex and making babies. That's the only use Islam has for women. Women are treated like dogs in Islam. And that is what the Quran says. What the Quran says, confirmed by what the warlord who invented the religion of Islam did, is Islam, necessarily. Why don't the stupid politicians and journalists and media people tell the truth then?